Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here at Ignite 2022. I am Stephen Rose. I am a Senior Product Marketing Manager and the host of Inside Microsoft Teams. And joining me is...
I am Lori Pottmeyer, and I am a Senior Product Manager with Microsoft Teams and our Community Lead for Microsoft Teams Engineering.
So, Lori, there were over 400 new features released in Teams last year.
Huge number.
A huge number. And we thought rather than sit there and talk about another new feature, it would be great to sit down with our industry experts, our MVPs, and ask them what were the most impactful features that you feel people should really take some time to take a look at.
It's going to be amazing to see that pared down. I have no idea what's going to happen. Our MVPs are really, really special to us. They are experts with Microsoft Teams and with M365, and they are awarded the Most Valuable Professional Award due to their deep technical knowledge with Microsoft products and the ability and willingness to share with community. And I'm so thankful that they're here today to share their favorite features.
And we have folks from all over the world. So without any further ado, let's join our first MVP for our first focus session. All right, well, let's take a look at our first MVP, Nandeep Nashan. Nandeep, thanks for joining us today. This is awesome to see you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. And
Awesome.
today I'm going to discuss about messaging extensions with Power Automate. So messaging extensions are a great way to define action on selected message in Microsoft Teams. In the past, it was only possible to create those with custom coding and deployment efforts. But now even citizen developers can build messaging extensions with few clicks. And you can use the message to trigger process in Teams. We are going to explore more on this in this demo.
All right, let's take a look at
Let's
it.
do it.
For creating messaging extension in Teams using Power Automate, the first thing that you should do is to add Power Automate app. The default view here shows the basic information on the created flows, and this page provides you to get started using Power Automate flows inside Microsoft Teams. So we do have various Teams templates available here, which we can use to get started. So even you can start from blank. So one thing to note, only instant flows qualifies for messaging extension. So let us start with this pre-built messaging extension, which is sent to OneNote. First thing that we need to just name the flow and then choose the connector. Once we do that, we need to select the notebook and the section inside that so that we can go ahead and the message will be stored inside of that. Once we are ready, go ahead, click create flow, and that's it. Your first messaging extension is ready. And now that let us head over to the Teams and select any pre-existing message. Once you click on more actions, each messaging extension created with Power Automate will have a special icon or special logo next to it. As you select Save to OneNote messaging extension, any kind of an additional note along with the message to be saved can be added here. And then again, once you add your note, click on Submit, the entire message will be stored onto the OneNote. Clicking the view note will take you to the saved conversation in OneNote. One limitation to note here is that it only saves the top level message and not the replies. All right, so that was pretty much cool how we will be able to create messaging extensions with Power Automate. Now that let us have a look at the implementation of one of the custom messaging extension which was built with AI capabilities. So Teams is not just for the collaboration, but again having the conversation with our colleagues, and we should always consider the well-being factor and no one gets hurt by any kind of an profanity. So let's see this in action. So on a message, we will select this matching extension called as report inappropriate content. And if you want to report any kind of an profanity, select the appropriate category under which you want to report this and add any kind of an additional notes for the reviewer. The suspected message information then will be sent to a person or a group configured in that Power Automate for review and action. So now that we have submitted that, let us go into the view of reviewer, which is Amanda in our case. So this is how the information is sent as an adaptive card to the reviewer. And to make it easier for the reviewer to make the best decision on the reported content, we are using the content moderator connector, which reports the score in 3 categories and detected profanity terms. So this is how simple it is to send out the messages onto the adaptive card. And then this one will help the reviewer to take the better decisions. Now that let us have a look at the implementation of this. So again, from here, you can click on open message and you will be able to go to the message. So on the implementation side, as a prerequisite, firstly, you need to create the content moderator service in Azure. And then as you edit this Power Automate flow that we have created, so on a selected message, we are using an action from content moderator connector to detect the profanity by passing in the selected message content. Next, that we are initializing the variable to store list of reported profanity terms. And if the review is recommended by the content moderator service, we populate the variable with reported profanity terms. So this activity is performing all that part. The last part in this flow is to send the adaptive card to the reviewer. And here we are initializing one-to-one kind of a chat with the reviewer before we send out that adaptive card. The card is now populated with the required information, and then this one will be sent to the reviewer for his or her review. Okay, so that's about the demo. Hope this will help you to make our workplace better every day by using this kind of a messaging extensions within your Power Automate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandeep. Great real world examples as well. All right, we are here with Matti Polkinen. Matti, wonderful to have you from Finland today. What are you going to be speaking about?
Thanks for having me. I'm going to be talking about shared channels. Really excited about those and having a little demo also.
All right, well, let's get to the demo.
Here's Alex. Alex is starting a collaboration with his partner using Teams shared channels. Alex has already created an adoption project team and added a couple of shared channel calls, champions and project management. First of all, Alex would like to share project management channel to his partner called Adel Vance. So he opens up a channel menu, share channel, and with people. He types in the Adel's email address, and as you can see, Adel is an external user, and Alex just clicks share. Now Adel is a member of this team. And let's see what happens on the Adel side. Adel is getting a notification that Alex has shared a channel with her. And as we see her teams and channels list, we can see that there is a team called Adoption Project from the Contoso organization and a shared channel called Project Management. And there is a notification that it's an external channel, so Adel knows that they can collaborate with it. Another way of sharing a channel is to share it with a team. So next, Alex would like to share Champions channel with a team that Adel is an owner. So he opens a channel menu, picks share channel and with team. And again, types in Adel's email address. And now Adel is getting an invite to the share channel. And let's see what happens on the Adel's side. Again, Adel is getting a notification that Alex has invited her team to a shared channel. So we see the channel there, the whole invite, championship external, and from the Contoso organization, and Adel can now click accept. And after that, Adel can pick which team she wants to put that channel in. So she picks hybrid work. And that starts a validation process where Alex still needs to approve that this is the correct team to put the champions channel in. So let's see what happens on the Alex side. So Alex is now getting an approval that Adel Vance has added champions channel to hybrid work team in her organization called MVP Consulting. And now Alex can click approve. And moving back to Adel's side, now Adel is getting a notification that Alex has approved his request. And if we look at the teams and channels list, now the champions channel is added to hybrid work team, and they can start collaborating with the team. And it's an external shared channel. When Alex wants to see who has access to the shared channel, he opens the channel management from channel menu, and right away he can see the memberships. And in members, he can see that there is already Megan Bowen as a member from MVP Consulting. And in the team section, there is 2 teams. Adoption Project, which is a host team of this channel, and MVP Consulting from Hybrid Work team from MVP Consulting. And he can also see who has access to that team to this champions channel. That way, Alex can also externalize permission management to Adele, so he doesn't need to take care of all of the external parties.
Now, Maddie, share channels is one of my favorite features, and I think one of the most impactful, because very simply, you don't have to start assigning licenses to external users. You're using Azure B2B. You're inviting them in to only have access to that conversation or just that portion of a channel externally, but they don't have access to anything else, correct?
Yes, that really simplifies sharing. And you are only sharing a channel, not the whole team, just that specific portion of the team. So that's really important to kind of not accidentally overshare anything.
Awesome. I love it. Thanks for staying up late with us, Maddie. Have a great evening. Thanks,
Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you.
Carolina, thanks for joining us today. You're joining us from Finland, so you're our second guest. So we have quite the Finnish representation today, so thank you. You're going to talk about Teams as the hub for teamwork, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. All right, let's take a look at your demo.
So here you can see Isaiah, Megan, and I are working on a tight deadline. We need to approve a contract within the next 48 hours. Megan has found a document that could be useful for our team. So I want to react to her post with a thumbs up. And I also want to let everyone know that I will be checking out Mega's document this afternoon. In this way, everyone knows I'm handling the case. I also want to make sure that I actually remember to do this task. So the easiest way to create a task in To-Do is straight from my Teams message. By clicking the 3 dots, and the 3 dots is always the secret navigation that gives me more options, I will navigate to more actions, and then I will just simply click Create Task. I will add title to my task, and because I know I have to do this task today, I will also mark it as important. Now I don't need to remember where the discussion or the document lives. I can access it and the conversation directly from my To-Do. Okay. In addition to Mega's pricing info, I have received an email document. So did you know that every Teams channel actually has an email address? I'll click on the 3 dots, click Get the email address, and choose to copy the email address to my clipboard. So instead of saving the document, editing it, sending it to Isaiah and Megan by email again, I want to actually add the document to our channel in Teams so that everyone can access it right away. So I will open my Outlook and forward the email to our sales channel. And actually, the attached document will automatically follow, and it will be uploaded to the Files tab in our team. So when I switch back to Teams, here it is. Wow, this actually really is modern work. The email and the attached document are now in our channel. Now I can tag Isaiah to our conversation and ask him to check this out. This certainly is the quickest way to collaborate and to get the deal done in time. I am so happy for our tight teamwork and fighting the deadline that I want to thank everyone. I'll start a new conversation and click on the small praise button, which to me looks like a light bulb, and I will choose the best praise badge to say thank you. I want to create a nice feeling and foster the great team spirit directly in our team. As we all know, happy employees are also engaged and productive employees. So well done, everyone. Great job.
Carolina, that was amazing, showing that Outlook and Teams don't have to be two separate apps, that they really do work together in a great way to share information, but to keep that all in one place. What's one tip that you would tell people as part of this? Hey, in 30 seconds, what's the most important thing to know about collaborating in Teams? What do you tell people?
I think the most important thing to know is that Teams is so much more than just a chat and the meetings. It's really the hub for teamwork, and it's meant to all of these asynchronous communication methods. So utilize all of those different functionalities and go test and try it out. There is so much more to discover.
Love it. That was awesome. Thanks so much for taking time to join us today.
Thanks, Carolina.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, we are here with Stephen Collier. Stephen is from the UK. Stephen, how long have you been an MVP?
Oh, I think this is my 8th year now, Laurie.
Whew. All right. And what are you going to be speaking about?
So I'm going to do a demo of the new Updates app in Microsoft Teams. So it's a feature that is very much focused on the first line workers.
All right, excellent. Let's see it.
Great. So Updates, you can see here, is an app inside Teams, a bit like Shifts or Planner. You can see it here on the left-hand side. I've used a Teams policy to pin it here to make it easily accessible to my user. In my demo here, I've set up my updates to be suitable for perhaps a retail store. So I'm giving them at their fingertips all of the forms and processes that they're going to need while working inside the store. You can see up here, there's a shift handoff report. Shift handoff, when one group of people stops working, they have to tell the next group what they need to be working on. And then down here, I've got some more standard reports, things they might need to report. If I click on this incident report, for example, it comes up, and you see a series of questions that get answered. They fill out this information, and then they can press that submit button at the bottom. So let me show you how I set it up. If I come here, if I go up to the top right, you can see I can do create and manage templates and create a new template. Here I get a series of different options, pre-built examples that are relevant to perhaps retail or business. I'm going to choose this daily updates one. There you can see the questions that it uses. Now, as I step through the wizard, on this next slide, I can see here, I can now adjust those questions. And you can see it looks an awful lot like Microsoft Forms because it's built out of Microsoft Forms. So let me add a new question. In my example, I'm going to want to collect a store code from each user. Each of my stores has got a number between, and that's going to be a number that's going to be between 1,000 and 9999. Cool. And then I can move that to the top of the list. So I have that as my first question in the list. Coming down here, I can modify these. You see, I'm just going to turn off this required because it'll just make my demo a little bit easier if we don't have to keep entering all this data. So let's go through those. Once that's all complete, just give it a second for it to save. I can move on to the next tab. So now here I choose who would be submitting this data, who would be the person that will see this on their screen. Now in my case, I've got a group already called Shift Leaders, and I'll select them. And who's going to receive the data? So I'm just going to choose me to be the person that receives it. And there we go. Down here, you see I can control the schedule for when people will need to complete this. If I turn that off, it makes it just like an on-demand. They can do it when they want. But I'm going to ask for this to be completed on a weekly basis on every day. It's tough in retail. You don't get weekends off. And I want them to submit it by 7 a.m. Cool. So I'll now publish that. So that's now created this new template with the form built into it. What I'm going to do now to actually demo completing it, I'm going to switch across to my mobile device. Your frontline workers, your store staff, are much more likely to be walking around using their phone and being on the shop floor with their customers. So having this available in their pocket is where it's most convenient for them to have it. Now, what you can see is I've already received an alert here. You can see there, I've been told I need to submit an update. That will happen on the schedule, so they get told 2 hours before this needs to be happened. If I come back over to the Updates app, you can see I can see all my updates, and there's that new one that I've created at the top. I can fill out the form, and you can see here, go to my store number. If I start trying to type in a number there, that's fine. But if I try and modify it or do something with it, like put some letters in, you see I can't use letters. I can fill in a bit more details, and then when I'm ready, I can press this submit button up at the top of the screen. So that form's now been done by my first line worker. It's now submitted to the system. If I switch back now to my browser, you can see I've been alerted. So again, I've been told that the form is submitted. If I click on here, it'll load up there on my right-hand side. It takes a little moment to load up. The forms really here is putting, through the Updates app, those controls right in the context of the user. They don't have to go off and look for them. They're not listed on a website somewhere. They're here simply just on that Updates app. They can click on them and get straight into it. And it's very easy for them to submit it. It's also easy for me to receive it. You can see here, there's the thing I sent. I can see here as like a summary of all of those updates and those responses from it as well. And that's walking through forms for first-line users.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. And I love the fact that you have an Easter egg there in the background. So if folks can tell me what Netflix show Stephen is a huge fan of, maybe we'll send some swag your way or something like that. You're not going to tell them, no, Stephen. They should have picked that up from the demo, right?
Absolutely.
All right. We'll put that in chat and we'll see what we can do. Thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, both.
All right, we are going to continue our trip around the world. We've got Laurent in France. What are you going to speak with us about today?
I'm going to speak about Microsoft Teams sprawling, and especially understand the right communication path inside Microsoft Teams.
Big, important topic. Let's see it.
Okay, so I would like to talk about adoption and change management and Teams governance, because I notice in many companies the human aspect has been forgotten. So I would like to give you a quick decision tree on that, and we will start about the type of teams. Basically, the first question is, do you want a team visible to the whole organization? And if it's yes, if it is automatically added, and if it is yes, you can create an org-wide teams. And sorry, in education tenant, you don't have an org-wide team, so that's not a good thing. So if it's no, you can create a public team. And if you do not want a team visible to the organization, then the question is, are you in education tenant? And if it's no, the question will be, do you want a team with permission base? And no, you should create a public team. And if it's yes, you should create a private teams. And going back to the educational tenant, if it's yes, the question is, do you want a team with teachers and students? Then you can create a class teams. Do you want a teams for teachers? You should create a PLC teams. And if you want a team shared by school leaders and teachers, you should create a staff team. So basically, this is a good decision theme. Let's look at the channels. The question will be, do you have many topics to discuss? And if it's yes, are these people on the same team? If it's yes, do you want a private collaboration with certain people of this team for one topic? If it's yes, you should create a private channel, but be aware of what you're doing, because governance is tough. If it's no, you should create a standard channels with proper name for the topic. Going back on the top, it's the people are not on the same teams. You want to collaborate on one topic with colleague for another teams without adding them to the team. If it's no, you should create a standard channels. And if it's yes, you can create a shared channels. And one more time, sorry, educational talent, there is no shared channels. Do you want many topics to discuss? No. Is this a topic for short collaboration? And if the answer is yes, do you want a quick collaboration without Office files? And if the answer is yes, you should create a group conversation and use Loop. And if it's no, you can create a basic group conversation. Going back on the top, is the topic for short collaboration? If the answer is no, do you want to collaborate in a long term using file and times? If it's no, you should create a basic group conversation. And if it's yes, the question will be, are these people on the same team? Yes, you can create a channel on this topic into the teams. And if the answer is no, check if there is already a team with a channel on this topic. So that was my quick decision tree. I think it's good to have it in mind because many companies do not understand the importance of human aspect. And we talk more about the IT governance rather than the change management. And the problem is that adoption is a question of understanding the vision and the benefits rather than understanding the technical tools. So no matter how your governance will be good with proper naming convention, with proper provisioning, etc., if users don't use the right communication path or the right collaboration path, then the adoption will be low.
I love this. And one of the most important things, and we've talked about this on my show, things like that, is that team sprawl. It has got to be a big part of your planning. One of the other thing I've seen folks do that I absolutely love is they've created a Power App that will go through and say, hi, what is the team you want to create and what is its purpose? And it will actually come back and say, there's already 3 teams that meet this need. Can you use one of these, or why would you want to create a new team? So I think the pre-planning that you've talked about mixed in with things like that can really help to reduce the amount of teams, get rid of duplication, and really put a good thought process, which you've done a great job of mapping out, behind how to really think about before you create these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today, Laurent. This was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right, next we've got Rodolfo Castro. Rodolfo is joining us from Mexico. Rodolfo, welcome.
Thank you.
What will you be sharing with us today?
Well, today I will be talking about real-time translation, very useful for people that work together with others around the globe.
Excellent. Let's see it.
Okay, first, let's check one of the tools that we have for real-time translation. So as we know, during the Microsoft Teams meetings, we can enable the closed captions. Right now, we can actually put those closed captions in different language. So first, we need to turn on the live captions, set up the spoken language. In this case, I will put on English. You can also set up to always make this my spoken language. Then we can just click confirm. As expected, the subtitles will start displaying on the bottom of the screen. Right now, we can see that those are on English, but Rodolfo, what if I need them on Spanish, if I need those in Portuguese, French, or any other one? Well, we can go to the 3 dots that we have also on the bottom, but on the right part of the screen. And then we can choose the language that we want to translate the communication that we are having in real time. In this case, we are translating into French. Also, you can see that you will have a little ribbon saying that you have been changed the caption language to French, and this will be affecting only to you. So it's not affecting all the other attendees on the meeting. It will be affecting only how you can read the subtitles, right? So we can change it here on Portuguese. We can change this into Spanish, that is my native language. So we can change into many language during the same meeting without affecting all the other, right? So let's pass then to the next one. Let's turn off the live captions. And what about if I am sharing a PowerPoint slides, right? So right now, using PowerPoint Live, I am sharing my presentation that is on English, but I would like to translate them into a different language. How we can do that? Well, the only thing that we need to do is go into the 3 dots for mock actions. We can see that we have the translate slides. And as long as we decide the language we want to translate, it will translate all the deck. So it's not just the slide that I am showing, it will translate all the slides on my presentation, right? So we can change it from Spanish. You can see that it's translated all the others. We can change to a different language. We can change it into Italian. We can change it into Portuguese. And you can see that we can translate it without any issue. Simple way to translate it and keep communicated with people using Microsoft Teams and, of course, using PowerPoint Live, right? And the last one that I will share with you is the language interpreter. So first, we will need to set up our meeting. We need to invite people into the meeting that will be helping us to be the interpreters during this meeting. Then when we went into the meeting options, the last one that we have is the enable language interpretation. By default, is disabled. We need to enable it. Then we can choose who will be the interpreter? In this case, I already invite some of the people on the company. Let's select Alfredo. We can select the source language. In this case, it will be English. And then we can select the target language. So Alfredo will be speaking in Portuguese while I am speaking in English, and all the attendees could select to listen Alfredo in Portuguese. Rodolfo, we can add more. Yeah, you can see that we have the Add More Interpreters button. So we can add another one that will be translated in real time from English, and it will be translated into Spanish. So the attendees will have two options to select in order to get the message. This is how you can set up, but let's see how the attendees will see this option. Once the attendee joins to the meeting, it will prompt a message that language interpretation is enabled. They can go to the More Actions menu, and now they will have an option that says language interpretation. They can click it, and it will display if they want to listen the original language, or they can listen Portuguese, or they can listen Spanish during the same meeting. This is great for people that are working with others around the globe.
Great. Thank you so much, Rodolfo. And this makes it so much easier for teams who are working together globally to really collaborate and understand one another. Thank you for sharing.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
All right, now to our first speaker from the United States, someone who I've known for many years, Heather Severino. Heather, how are you?
Doing well, Stephen. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I love the fact you're not only an MVP, but you're also an MCT, a Microsoft certified trainer, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So what are you going to show us today?
I want to show you annotations. I'm all about note taking, and I love that we have this new feature to be able to annotate a shared screen with everybody in the meeting.
Ooh, in real time. I love that. So let's take a look at the demo.
I picked the annotations topic because it opens up a whole new world for collaborating with everybody on a shared screen. It happens to be a private meeting that we're looking at here. We're going to go to the share button and then select the screen that we'd like to share. And then at the toolbar at the top, we're going to select annotations. This starts annotations for not only the person that is doing this, but for everyone in the meeting. Let's take a look at the settings first. You'll notice that everyone can annotate by default, but if you want to be the only one, you can set that here. You may also want to turn on collaborative cursors to be able to see the names of who's working in this and where they're working, and then also enhance ink shapes to make sure you get those clean line, symmetrical shapes when you're drawing. We're going to start first over on the left side of the toolbar by working with reactions. You'll notice there's several we can choose from, so let's add a check mark down here. Once you add it, you can use the handles to resize it. You may also notice that someone else is adding something as well. So here's Adele Vance, and she's adding a question mark reaction here. Next, let's go ahead and ink. By selecting this pen, we can choose the thickness that we would like to ink in, and we can choose the color, maybe green, maybe rainbow, or my favorite, galaxy. We're going to go with green today. And we're going to draw some arrows. So we're going to go ahead and choose the single arrow tip, but you'll notice there's a few things you can choose from here. Let's draw an arrow here, maybe over here, and right here. All right, let's go back and let's choose red because we have some handwritten notes to make here. Now, as you start to ink, I'm using a stylus on a touch device. If you make a mistake, go back up and tap the eraser and erase it. All right, we're going to go back and we're going to re-ink this, give it another try. Great. Now let's try ink again. We're going to draw a square. Notice how it takes that and it makes it symmetrical. And maybe as we're talking through this with other participants, we want to use a laser pointer as we're illustrating and discussing each of the key points. One of the things I like about the eraser is we can also use it to do things like this. It's not a full ink stroke that it's erasing. So if you want to get creative with your shapes or anything else, you can. All right, let's go ahead and check out text. We want to add a little question over here. to be able to get everyone's feedback. And maybe we want to add some sort of a note for everyone. Let's pick green. And we'll add it right about here. We'll go ahead and type a note in here. And everyone that's in here can also react. So take a moment to notice what happens here when we go to the reaction tag. And other people might be coming in like Adele and reacting as well. Now with select, we can go ahead and select that note and work with the toolbar to do things like moving it, maybe deleting it, adding shapes or something else to it, copying it. There's all sorts of functionality there. You can use undo to bring it back, redo to reposition it again. And if you want to delete all the annotations, you can select this trash can, but we're not going to do that for now. When you're done, we'll go ahead and stop presenting. And this is a whiteboard because it's powered by the whiteboard technology. So you'll notice where I'm going is down here to the bottom. As if I were to look at things in OneDrive, you'll notice a new whiteboards folder here with a subfolder in here called Annotations. And while the whiteboard's not there quite yet, this is where we could go to in the future if we want to share that whiteboard again. Now, because I'm the owner of this whiteboard, it's in my OneDrive document library in that same folder and subfolder. Now, everybody else that's in the meeting, it's shared with them through OneDrive. So if we want to collaborate in the future, we can do that in the Whiteboard app. And that's how you can make your team's meetings more collaborative by using Annotations and Whiteboard.
Thanks, Heather. Now, I love this because the fact that it's being stored on OneDrive the same way that the videos are and recordings, all of that now falls underneath our governance and all of our management about sharing and retention and all that too. So you have that full security around that saved whiteboard as well, which is absolutely great.
You're correct. I love that too.
Yeah, absolutely great. Thanks so much for joining us today here, Heather. It was great having you. Thank you so much. And hey, have a great Ignite. And we'll look for your blog that we'll add along with the rest for all the demos.
Oh, I've got lots to share there, Stephen.
Perfect.
Thanks, Heather. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We are here with Eric Marcy. Eric, welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me today.
What are you going to be sharing with us today?
So today we're going to be going over what you have to do to convert a Skype for Business 3-pip phone over to a SIP gateway phone.
All right, let's go ahead and see it.
All right, so the first step that we need to do to go ahead and convert our 3-pip phone into a SIP gateway device is we first need to go ahead and factory reset the device. So in this case, we're using a Poly VVX phone. And what we're going to go ahead and do is go into our menu options, go down to settings, go to advanced, type in your administrator password. By default, that's 456, administration settings. And then we're going to go down to 5 reset defaults and then click 5 reset to factory, click yes, the device will reboot. Upon the reboot of the device is going to go ahead and determine if it is a generic SIP device from factory or if it's a Skype device. If it is a generic device from factory, that'll be everything that you need to go ahead and do to be able to begin the SIP gateway provisioning process. But if it is a Skype device from factory, we're going to go ahead and have to make a few changes to the device. So right now we can see the device has rebooted. And one of the ways that we can determine if it is in generic SIP mode is that it does not say sign in the bottom left. We'll also see that it just says VVX 350. If you are seeing the sign in button in the bottom left that states the sign in via Skype for Business or via the web sign in, we're going to go to our menu, go to settings, click on advanced, go enter our default password, administration settings, network configuration, and we're going to go down to our default profile. And you'll see that as right now generic, but if yours says Skype, we're going to change that over to Skype. And then once that is changed from Skype, you would reboot the device again. Since we're in generic, we're already done there. The other thing we need to make sure is we have the web configuration enabled. So if we go down to our main menu, go to web server configuration, we'll make sure that web server is marked as enabled and that it shows the web config mode as HTTPS only. From this point, we can continue the setup of the device from the web browser. So navigate to the IP of the device, sign in, and then top left, we're going to go ahead and click on settings, go to provisioning server, change the server type to HTTP, and we're going to paste in the local region FQDN provided by Microsoft on the documentation site. At that point, we can go ahead and click on Save. And at this point, the device will go ahead and reboot roughly 2 to 3 times. This process will take roughly 5 to 10 minutes for it to completely go through. And we'll go ahead and take a look like what that looks like on the phone. So from the phone, we'll see that the phone still just shows in the generic profile. But here in a second, we'll see that it pops up and goes ahead and states, the device is rebooting. So we give that a second here. You'll see the device goes ahead and reboots. And upon reboot, it's going to go ahead and ask us for our old password, which is default 456. And then we're going to go ahead and type in our new password. Again, here I'm just setting a random 4-digit password on the device. After we click enter, we will now see that there is now a Teams logo showing on the phone. This means that it successfully reached out to the provisioning server and is ready to go ahead and begin the sign-in process. So we click on sign in, a micro browser will open up stating to go ahead and go to microsoft.com/device login, along with a multi-character code that we would enter in our web browser to go ahead and sign into the phone. So from a web browser, we're going to go ahead and enter that same exact code at the microsoft.com/device logon link. So let's go ahead and enter that here. Then we'll sign in with our user account, complete any 2-factor authentication if required. And as soon as you go ahead and complete that 2-factor authentication, it's going to state, are you trying to sign into Teams SIP Gateway? We're going to say yes and click on continue. And at this point, the phone's going to go ahead and get a brand new provisioning file, which contains your user sign-in information. So we look over at the device will now go ahead and state that the reboot was initiated because it's got that new configuration file. And it's going to go ahead and reboot. And upon the reboot, it'll be provisioned for your user account. So here on the boot up, we can see now that we have that user's phone number showing assigned to the phone. And we also have D&D, voicemail, recent, and other settings available on the bottom. At this point, you will see a message that states that provisioning was successful right there on the screen. We'll see the Teams logo appear in the background, and the device is now ready to make and receive phone calls on behalf of the user. And if we take a look under the More menu, you can see that there's a few other options there to go ahead and sign out and also set your call forwarding options as well.
Eric, that's awesome. Question. I know you're going to be writing a blog for us and digging in deep into this, but is there a way to have PowerShell do some of that initial setup so that we can make this completely touchless for the end user?
Unfortunately, with the SIP gateway devices, that is not possible today. There may be a future add in the product coming soon, but as of today, right now, that is all a manual process on the phone. But it can be assisted with either the device manufacturer's provisioning server, such as like PolyZTP, PolyLens, to help make that process simpler for your organization.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to your blog on this. Thanks so much for joining us here at Ignite 2022, and great job. Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you all for having me. Really appreciate it.
Daryl Webster, glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Laurie.
What are you going to be sharing with everybody today?
Well, I'm looking at a third-party app that's really well integrated with Microsoft Teams called Jira Cloud.
All right, let's go ahead and see it.
A lot of work moves at the pace of change. Conversation drives collaboration, and that's why I'm impressed with some of the integration that third-party apps can achieve with Microsoft Teams. And one of my favorites is the Teams app for Jira Cloud. Let's take a look. After installing the app and connecting my Microsoft 365 account with my Jira Cloud account, I'm ready to discuss work items. At the start of my day, I like to see the items in my Jira and plan what I'm going to work on. I open up the Jira chat app and then the Issues tab. I've got a table that filters to show issues that are assigned to me. Now, I like to have the list ordered to show new items at the top. I can prioritize what I want to work on. I see an issue that I can spend some time researching and answer. And this issue was assigned or reported by Matt. I can see that Matt is available for a chat, so I'll send him a message. Hey, Matt, can we talk about that issue that you logged on my Jira board? I'd like to know more. To help Matt, I can add the issue to the chat. I use the Jira messaging extension, and it shows me recent issues that I have opened or have been assigned to me. I can choose the recent issue that Matt assigned to me, or I can search for another issue that is not in the suggestions, just by using a keyword. So we'll go back and we'll add this issue that Matt assigned to me, and it appears as a card. It opens just in enough detail to be able to show and remind Matt of what we're working on. And when I open it up, it opens up as a modal window over the top of our chat. I'm not taken out of the conversation or to a different app or a browser tab. We can read through all the details and comment on the issue, or we can see any attachments and supporting images. So I close the messaging window or the issue window, and I'm taken right back to the chat where I can continue with Matt. And I love this next feature. It's really smart. Matt replies in the chat with some important detail about the issue. It should be shared with the rest of the team, not locked away in a private chat that the team can't read. If they want to help me on the issue, then they need to be able to see that detail. So I'm going to add Matt's reply to the issue card. I can select the ellipsis button and then more actions, and then I can reply or add the reply by a comment in Jira. There's no need for me to copy and paste that content. I'm still in my conversation with Matt, and I can select the issue and just simply post the comment. Now, where did that end up? Let's take a look. Over in our team, we've added our Jira board as a tab to the team in the channel. The Jira Cloud tab lets a team choose a board and a view of the board. Our team uses a view that shows all the open issues. It's a simple place to reference what we're working on. My team can see the issue that I've been working on. And so when a team member opens up the card, they can see Matt's reply and the important detail that he shared. And if we want to open up and focus on the full experience of the board in Jira Cloud, it's only one click away. So, I really like the Jira Cloud app. It's a great example of integration. It keeps me in my conversation about an issue, and it gives me just enough detail to help the conversation. Laurie, Stephen, I believe this is what it means to stay in the flow of work.
I love this. This is the next generation of 3P apps, that it's not just a plugin creating a tab, but it's actually integrated. We see this with Confluence and Cloud. We also have this with Adobe Acrobat Sign. We also are seeing this with Workday and ServiceNow, where you're able to harness the power of those apps, not have to switch back and forth, and be able to take a chat and turn it directly into an action item within the Chrome. And that's really powerful.
Yeah, I agree, Stephen. I think that we need to take more advantage of these integrations. Don't default to just using the full app, but, just stay in the flow of work and start using those message extensions and things within chat. I think they're fantastic.
Awesome. Daryl, thanks so much for joining us this morning or this evening. What is it there? It's this morning for you, and I believe it's tomorrow.
Now.
It's right now and it's tomorrow, where for us it's today and yesterday for you.
Joining us from the future.
Yes, love that. Coming from the future. Thanks, Daryl, as always.
Thanks, Daryl. Bye-bye.
We want to thank all of you for joining us today. So many great resources. Of course, check out the What's New in Teams blog. That hits the first week of every month and tells you all of the features that were released the previous month on the Tech Community blog, which is also where you're going to find a lot of great blogs from our MVPs that you just saw in this session and other sessions.
Exactly right. The tech community is a great place to connect with all the experts. Those who you heard from today, be sure to ask questions and write comments in those blogs. And we also have people covering all the other sessions at Ignite as well. So you can feel free to look at those. And then ongoing, we've got aka.ms Teams community blog, and that's where you'll find all of our community members passionate about Microsoft Teams who are sharing their knowledge on a regular basis. And really, that's what this is all about, right?
It's all about. And of course, you want to go to aka.ms/team session to see all of the other great sessions. 4 teams happening at Ignite this week. And we're just happy to be back with you and seeing all of you. And thank you so much. And hey, have a great Ignite. We can't wait to hear what you loved, what you want to hear more from, and how we can work with community to make sure that you get that real world information so that you're able to use these features and just get the most out of Teams. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for being here. Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks, Laura.
It was fun.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.